What's up, guys? Jason Guyman here, and tonight I want to talk about how to scale your Christmas light business. I've gotten this question in the group asking about how to scale it, and so I want to talk about scaling. I want to also talk about systems and what systems do we need in place to make sure that we are successful. What are the systems that we need to set up that we can have success in our Christmas light business? And so those are the things that I want to hit on. How do we set up for success so that way we can start scaling this business? We can have crews going out. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how do we find reliable crews? How do we hire crews? How do we hire the right person answering the phone? What systems they need? And I'm going to talk a little bit about all of that as we talk about how to scale a Christmas light business. You know, you can get to 100,000 literally by yourself and maybe one helper. You can get to $250,000 by yourself with one helper, right? And so these are things that I want to hit on is how do we grow this thing? How do we get this business to grow so that you can have success in this business, right? Because that's my whole goal. I want you to succeed and grow your business. I want you to hit more than $100,000. I know some of you are just starting out and you're like, how am I even going to get to 100,000? And I will hit on these systems of what that is also. But I will also get you into what you can do to grow your business beyond your wildest dreams. You know, this past 2 weeks ago, Daniel called me and he's like, Jason, I'm on vacation and I'm paying for everybody that is here. There was no way that I even had a thought that I could even do this, right? And that is what is exciting for me is how can I help you grow your business and success in Christmas lights? So this weekend was been a good night. I know I had to shut this in because I had some people over here at the barn and at my shop. And so I wanted to make sure that you didn't hear everything. I know you probably heard a dog bark, but hopefully I will. I'm still working on my shop. DJ is going to come tomorrow and he is going to, we're going to do the floors. So then that way I will be able to get a little bit more into this building. So I'm going to start building out the roof. I'm going to start building out different things. I don't have a class for Christmas lights till September, but I will have a pressure washing class here. So if you're interested in pressure washing, I will be having a class in August for pressure washing. But that's what I've been working on. I've been working on doing a lot of that kind of stuff and getting this thing ready to grow. Trying to figure out where do I want everything, how do I want everything. And I just did a video today because someone asked in the group, if you're not in the Facebook group, christmaslights.io/group, go join the Facebook group. And I asked the question, I've been asking the question, what videos do you want me to make? And so one of the videos they want me to make was how to charge a tree and how to figure that out. And so I would love to answer more of your all's questions so that way you all can get these answers for that. So that's what I've been working on. I've been talking to Daniel some. I've been talking to Jeremy. They just sold a big job, 600 feet of permanent lights. Yes, Daniel sold 2 jobs the other day in one day. And so he's calling me. I'm celebrating his wins. And so that is awesome to see. What all comes with the pressure washing class and how much is it on that website? It is at King of Pressure. It's at kpwtrain.com. It's a 2-day class. It will be 1 day of how to pressure wash, safety, make sure you don't blow your hands off, make sure you don't burn your hands off with chemicals, make sure you don't fall off ladders. You know, I want to stress on this because this just happened last week. A dude fell off a ladder and died, right? I don't know all the details, but I know he fell. And he's not here no more. And so this is something that we got to make sure that we are staying safe when we're dealing with these Christmas lights, when we're putting our employees up there. And this is all importance of when we start scaling this business, is why this is very, very important. Pressure washing help was the best money I spent and could change my life, right? Jason is in Florida and does over $250,000 a year doing pressure washing and some Christmas lights. And he was one of my first ones of really being successful with it, and so taking off with it. And so it's awesome to watch him grow. Again, he only does this part-time. He has a full-time firefighting job, so he doesn't do this in the time season of that. So that is where we are with it. All right, let's start talking about what do we need to do. So here's the thing, right? So, Daniel, he did $179,000 his first year. You can do that with one person and one other. You could do $250,000 with one person, you and one other person. It's not gonna be easy, but I never said any of this is easy, right? And so you can do that. Sam did $250,000 his first year, but he had several crews because he was a pressure washer. So he kind of had a leg up on that side of it, right? Daniel did $600,000, $500,000 year two with basically two crews. One was a full-time crew, one was a part-time crew, and himself. And he was able to do over $600,000, and he had room for more. So that's the cool thing about this, right? So I want to talk about how does Daniel get to $1 million, right? Because there was things he did last year that worked, and there's things that he could have done that he didn't because he couldn't have the volume. And so we want to talk about that. How do we go about scaling this thing? How do we get to $500,000? How do we get that, right? Well, and I've helped multiple people make it to six figures. Multiple people. They've come to my class. I bet you I'm at 50 people that have come to my class and have hit $100,000 their very first year. And so that's the awesome thing about these Christmas lights. Like, they're life changing. There's people making more money doing Christmas lights for 3 months out of the year than they make at their full-time job, right? And so that is the cool thing about Christmas lights. And that's why I love Christmas lights. Christmas lights are awesome and they're amazing. The very first thing about scaling, though, is how do I find crew, right? How do I find reliable crew that is going to show up, that is going to install these lights amazingly, that are going to care and do this, right? And that's $1 million question right there. That's $1 million question. But here's the answer to it. What I would tell you to do is have an on-the-job training. Everybody comes today at 2 o'clock. First off, you got to write an appealing ad, right? An appealing ad is they're not inside, so you got to like outside. And so you got to love Christmas. And so these are some things that we got to get the right people to show up, and they got to be afraid of heights. Now, there's people going to tell you that they're not scared of heights, and when they get there, they're shaking like a leaf in a tree. They're like sitting there going, there's no way I can climb this ladder. Well, that's probably not the right person for me, especially when I need people that can get up on roofs and not sitting there shaking like a leaf in a tree. And I've actually seen this at a class. Last year in Michigan, the person was literally trying to screw in a screw into the permanent lights, shaking this much. And so he did Christmas lights last year, and he did well for himself his first year out there. And so it's an awesome thing, right? He overcame his fear. So that's what you can do too. Or you can be like Daniel and hire the roofing out, and he's only been on maybe 5 roofs his whole entire of hanging over $750,000 worth of lights. He's only been on maybe 5-10 roofs. And so you can build this business to where you're not doing the work. And that's a great business to do. And so first thing is how do we get a reliable crew? One, we got to make sure that we have the resources here for us so that way people can get the right people to install, right? So that's number one. Next thing, Have them show up today at 1 o'clock, right? We're all going to show up on 1 o'clock. Go get the biggest, scariest house you have. Go get a 3-story house with a 12-12 pitch on this bad boy. What's a 12-12 pitch? It means it's 45, right? And so when we talk about that, right, so what we need to do is when we get them up there, we're going to put them in a harness. We're going to put them in, we're going to have rope. Safety is a huge thing. And you will know real quick if they start climbing that ladder or they're like, nah, never mind, this isn't for me. They will tell you real quick if they're able to get up on this roof or not. Like, they'll tell you super fast. You know, you'll have some people climb up there and just walk around like it's nothing, like they're made for it. And some people are made for it, right? They're up on these roofs all day long and they're just do amazing. Also, we're also going to see if they can learn, right? We're going to show them how to put a male and a female on, right? We're going to show them, hey, you know, this is socket wire and you got to put a female on. So this is what you do. We're going to see if they can take easy instructions, right? You're going to do this, you're going to do that. Because if they can take easy instructions and they can climb the ladder, they're probably going to be your person. Because out of 10 people that you get to come, half of them ain't going to show up, and half of those half, so you're only going to have a quarter, aren't going to do the job in the first place. They're not going to climb that ladder. So this is a way that you weed them out really fast. So this isn't, you know, otherwise what happens is you hire these people and then you get them on payroll and you do all this stuff for them, and then they find out that they're scared to death of getting on roofs, right? And that's not what we want. We don't want to spend a bunch of time. Again, this is a very fast paced time that we got to get through. So that's how we can find reliable crews. So here are some other ways that I know people that find reliable crews. So somebody I know will go to gas stations, and when they're at gas stations, they will see people with a bunch of ladders on, and they ask. You got to ask, right? That's how you find these people. You just ask, hey, do you looking for to make some money in the wintertime? Well, I'm a roofer. Well, you probably slow down in the wintertime, don't you? Yeah, I do. Awesome. Well, you want to make some money? Yes. And so that's another way that we can find reliable crews and get this stuff done. The next one is, this one is important if you want to grow and scale. When to get off the truck. And this can be very hard for a lot of people. This is something that, you know, in mentorship, I'm dealing with this every day. I'm dealing with this with people trying, you know, but Jason, you just don't understand. They can't install like I can. They can't do this like I can. They can't do that like I can. And that is the mentality and the mindset that people have. That's what holds them back. That's what stops them from growing their Christmas light business, right? That is a huge factor of why people can't grow their pressure washing business, their Christmas light business, any business out there is the mindset that I have to do it myself. And so the faster you can get off the truck, the more money you're going to make. And here's the thing. It's going to be a little bit rough at the beginning, you know. Your employees, if you don't have systems in place, then that is a problem, right? And you have to have a system for everything you do, so that way somebody else can pick it up and be like, this is what I do. Point A, you know, the reason why I have the 26 steps to doing it is, you know, when you show up, you're not parking in the parking lot. Why don't we park in the parking lot or into the driveway? Well, because most of you know that when you pull out in the parking lot or in the driveway and you put all this stuff out, then the next thing you hear is the garage door opening up and the lady just runs right over your stuff. And yes, that's happened before. And she was like, oh, did I do that? Yeah, you literally just backed over my stuff. So that is one reason, right? We're red carpet. The other thing is when we're parked out on the street, it gives us lets everybody know that we're putting up Christmas lights there. So it gives us a better ROI of showing people that, hey, we are putting up Christmas lights, and so that's why we do that. All right, step 2, we make sure that we have on our vest. We have 25 males, we have 50 females, we have 2 pairs of cutters. We have everything in our vest, because every time they walk back and forth to the truck when they forget something, it's 10 minutes. So if they walk back and forth to their truck 20 times, that's that's an extra 2 hours that they just took that shouldn't have been there. And so this is why people take forever installing, is because they don't have systems and they don't have checklists for their men to make sure that they're getting it done. So we have checklists of, hey, do you have all of this stuff? Do you have everything that you need to install these Christmas lights? Next thing is, what do they do? Where do you start? Do you install with the lights on? You need to have systems that are written out that that a 2-year-old can explain it to somebody else. And yes, you need to have it as a 3rd grader explaining this stuff, because if you call it one thing and it's called something else, or you are calling it something else, then you need to know that, right? And so these are systems that we need to have, and this is it. Another system, right? What is the system of when that phone rings? What do you say? How do you say it? What is the next step? When do you get their email? When do you get their phone number? How do you send the quote out? What are things you do when you send the quote out? What's the process for someone to take you off the truck of not answering the phone? And yes, these are all things that you have to do to be able to scale this business. If you want to be more than $100, $200, $300,000, these are things that you have to do to scale this business. And a Christmas light business is not that hard to scale. You're putting lights on a roof, that's it, right? But you got to be able to close, you got to be able to sell, you got to be able to do all of these things to be able to do this. So how do I price, right? How do I price for cruise versus solo? You price solo like you have everybody that you want. If you haven't read the book E-Myth, I highly recommend you to go read the book E-Myth. This is what E-Myth tells you to do. Write an org chart that has all the spots that you need to have, right? And then put a dollar amount by each one, and put your name by each one. And the goal of it is you start erasing your name and you start putting people into those positions. And that is what's going to set you apart, right? That is what's going to help you grow your business. Those are the things that are going to make you a lot more money than your name being in all of those positions. So that is something that is key that we need to start working on. And that's, do you have an operational manager? Do you have an admin? Do you have an office manager, right? I had one of my guys is like, I need to hire a receptionist. I'm like, no, you don't. You need to pay more money and hire an office manager, because they'll save your life. They will change your life, because then they're taking all the headaches and you don't have to deal with those headaches, because you're probably not dealing with those headaches very well in the first place. And so this is things that we need to do to work for crews versus ourselves. And then what systems do we have that are failing, right? That are falling apart, that we have and we think that's a great system, and how's it falling apart? Because here's the thing, you can have all the systems in the world, but if you don't inspect what you expect, then it's a system that is ready to fail. If you're not inspecting that system to make sure that it's hitting the checks and balances that it needs, and you can't expect it to be well, right? Because if something goes wrong, whose fault is it? It's not the person that did it and it went wrong, it's your fault. You wasn't inspecting what you were expecting. So that's why we want to make sure. And then last one, which is kind of the first one, is how do we scale our marketing? Because if we don't get leads, we're not going to get jobs. We're not going to be able to scale, right? So how do we get more leads? How do we turn those floodgates on of leads, right? Yes, 200, 300, 500 yard signs can get us to 100,000. But we cannot 10x that and get us to 1 million off of just yard signs, right? Do we have a website? Does the website rank? Do you know if the website ranks? Those are all key things, right? And so I'll show you something here, right? Does a website rank? And this is what I'm going to mean by does a website rank? I've had people that have been doing pressure washing businesses and different businesses, and I've been doing some grids of how are you ranking, and some of these did well. Some of them have not done well. And they're like the ones that did not do well, they've been paying somebody over $200 a month for over 3 years. And they had a bunch of 20s. And this is what I mean, right? This, if I can pull this up here, or maybe not. Let's see if I can show the file. So this is the importance of what are we doing to get shown so that way we can do this. And so the importance of this is if you don't know, then this is your problem, right? This is going to be a problem. So this is for a tougher keyword. This was in January, the one on the left. The one on the right is just in July, about 10 days ago. And you can see how we turned all these 3s, 4s, 6, 7s, and all these numbers into 1s. And that's what we want. We want to show up, number one, when we get called, right? And so a lot of people they're not getting called because you're not number one. And so how do we get number one? Well, we need to work on our Google My Business. Do you have a Google business? Do you have a website? Here's one that is kind of coming up hard recently of AI, right? And so out of Endless Customers, I'm giving you 2 books tonight, E-Myth and Endless Customers, right? Do you have your website say how much stuff is and why things cost? Because this is a now society, right? When you go on Amazon, you find the reviews and you find out how much it is and you find out how many other places that you have, right? And so these are all things that we have to remember about for our business. And so if we don't know what we are doing, then that is an issue, right? That is a problem that we want to do. Do you charge for that analysis? I will do a free analysis for some of you, but you will have to email me or message me on Facebook, and I need your Google business profile link is what I need, not your review link. I need the actual link for your Google My Business so I can plug it in and I can get this done for you and I can show you how you are ranking, where you are at. So the best way to message me is through, actually, you know what, I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to tell you to do it this way because this is going to be better than me doing it the other way. You are going to text, I think you're going to text this number here as soon as I can find it. I wonder why that's not showing up there. Let's see if I can find it here. Phone number. Nope, it ain't showing up there either. That ain't good. That's not good. Let's see here. You're going to text. Well, maybe. Let me see if I can find this other thing here. I will I will put a number up here. That way you can text a number. That way, if you are on the text that gives sending my text out, that's where that is at, but I am not finding it. But I will work on while I'm finding it, so that way you have it, and then that way you can text that number, your Google link. You're probably going to get asked about an email, and then that way we can send that for you. So that's how we can do that for you. And I don't know where my number is, but here, I'm going to find my number here. So while I'm doing this, but again, this is important. And a lot of times people are like, well, what do I do in the winter? What do I do in the summertime? Well, these are the things that we do to get ourselves up. So that way people know what it is, right? People know that, hey, this is what I need to do to grow my business. These are things that I need to do to separate myself. These are things that I need to do so that I can grow my business. Because a lot of times people aren't doing this stuff, right? They're not doing the things of making sure that we are getting this information in there, right? We are not doing that. We're not doing the things of trying to rank our website. Here's some other things that will rank your website, right? One is putting your price on there. Putting your price on there and showing other websites to you, right? And as I've said before, the one that I hate the most is Yelp. So yes, you need to do Yelp, right? Yelp is one that you need to put in there so that way Yelp will show that you're a credible business. Here's another one is the good old, another one that I hate is the good old, shoot, I got to think what it's called. The good old BBB, right? And why is BBB important? Well, BBB is important because that's what Google likes. And the AI likes it. And so those are all things that we have to look at for us to think about this, right? And so if we're not thinking about growing and scaling this business and we're just thinking that all we can do this and this, well, that's where you're going to fall in and be wrong. And that's where you're going to have mistakes at, and that's not going to be good. And so this is all things that we need to do to make sure that we can grow our business and that we can scale this business, right? So these are all things that we got to do to make sure that we can grow and scale this business. Because again, as I said, I want to make sure that you are successful. That is my goal. How can I make you successful? Well, that is a good question, but I'm working on helping you grow your business so that you can be successful at the end of the day. And, I think that a lot of times that we think that it's something like hard or not hard, but, growing this business is not hard. It's a matter of going out there and doing what you need to do to get this done, right? And so that is the key of what we need to do to be able to get this done. So here's the number. If you text me at the 855-619-5483, I will send you a grid. Again, I need your URL for your Google My Business. Otherwise, I cannot do that. So it's probably going to ask you for an email. It's probably going to ask you for your information. So I would just tell you to go ahead and put that information in. Because if I'm going to do something for you, then I'm getting your information, whether you like it or not. So if you don't want me to have your information, then don't send me a text. But if you want me to do this, I'm willing to do it for you. I'll do for a couple. I will probably do as many as I can, and we'll kind of go from there. So, but that is what we will do. If you want to know when I go live, which I didn't tonight, text LIGHT, LITE, and that way this is when I go live on Christmas lights. So with that, what questions do you all have? What are some questions that you need help with and how to grow your business? So, and I see some other things on here of people talking about. Rick Missy said, you text this was a Zoom call, not a YouTube. Yeah, sorry. You shared. What's the name of that site? It's a site that I use. There's a couple different ones. There's Falcon Local. There's different ones for it that are out there. Do you charge? I already hit on that. Do you have any advice about those calls I get that want me to pay to get listed on voice search? Yeah, they're full of crap. They're full of crap. A bunch of them. You probably get them all. Everybody, Daniel sent me some of you. Look, we'll get all these commercial leads for you, and I get them too. It isn't. I'm not saying that I don't get them. I get them also. So there's a bunch of them out there that you will get, and so that is what you got to deal with. Do this. Also, if you want to start and learn how to grow this Christmas light business, not pressure washing business, this Christmas light business. I am doing a training down in Charlotte. Charlotte next month in August is going to be amazing. I've got Paul Gardner coming, who is amazing. If you've ever been there with Paul Gardner, he will speak into your life. If you miss it for that, I promise you, it is. I've never went to a training where Paul wasn't and he spoke into somebody's life and they've changed their life and they've done very well for themselves. And so if you want to sign up, this is going to be in Charlotte. It'll be an awesome training. So again, I'm going to talk about Christmas lights Friday. Friday, I'll teach you how to do Christmas lights. I teach you how to charge for Christmas lights. I'd show you how to do it. You might say, well, Jason, I already know how to install. Every person that I've had come to my class, even this last class that should have probably been an advanced class, there was people there that had installed and was like, you know what? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I'm going to put this into my system so that I can install faster. So even if I could save you 20 minutes per install because you learned something, that's going to save you thousands of dollars in the end, because now you can go install more jobs, right? Because now you can install another job a day, and that's going to make you more money in the end. So that is something. And then on the second day is all about marketing, about sales. I'm sure that Paul's probably going to talk about mindset, because it's all up here. It's all between the ears. This is where all the money's made at the end of the day. Do you believe in yourself? Do you really believe in yourself? Right? Those are all things that you should be looking at. And so this is going to be a great class. The last time I had one in Charlotte, I think we ended up having like 20 or 25 people down there. So it's going to be an amazing, amazing, amazing class. I promise you. It's going to be a great class. I love going down there. It's going to be, and then the last day, we will get to install on a house. We actually got to install on a house last time. And then permanent lights, we'll talk about permanent lights and how to, if you want to add permanent lights to your business. If you don't want to come for permanent lights, you just want to come for Christmas lights, that is fine. If you want to just come for permanent lights in the marketing day, that is fine too. But that is what we are going to be talking about and how to grow this business. Hot one today, not a single shade tree around that deck. We got it done. That means you just got to drink a lot more water. I'm needing to learn on how to work on the business and not directly in it, if that makes sense. 100%, Zach. 100%. You know, this is what this whole video is about: scaling, right? How do we start working on this business? How do we keep this business growing? Here's what I always tell people: you're not making as much money on the truck as you would be if you're off the truck, because you can't answer the phone properly. You can't go to do in-person sales. You can't think outside of what it is. Right? You can only do what you're limited at. And so this is why it is important. How are you paying employees that are not 1099? Then that means you're paying them with the workers' comp. You're paying all of that good stuff. You're paying them as an employee. You're paying payroll tax. You're getting all that awesome stuff that comes along with being a business owner. Do I reach out as my business or myself on LinkedIn when reaching potential? So you want to reach out as yourself, because LinkedIn is about person to person. It's not about business to business, you know, and LinkedIn is all about the person and not the business. And so you want to reach out as the business or your person and not the business. Where do you store your Christmas lights? Well, that's a great question too. So I stored them my first 2 years in my mom's basement. I know people that store them in storage units. I know I was talking to a guy this past week in Dallas, and he has 2 storage units, and he pays like $300 or $400 a month is what he pays. I know people that have big storage units, and they might pay a little bit more. So those are all ways. You have a shop. Then my last place, I had a shop, and I had a whole room just for storage of Christmas lights. It was about a 20 by 30 room of all my Christmas lights, and that held $500,000 worth of Christmas lights. So those are all things that you can do to store your lights. I know people that put them in their garage. I had a guy that was at the training this week that he stores them in his garage right now at his house, and there's not a lot of room. I have people that have trailers, right? You might have a trailer and put them in a trailer, and you just stack them in there really good. So these are all things that people need to be able to do to store them. So it's just different ways, different methods of storage. Let's go Charlotte. I have Jobber at a grandfather price of $50 a month. Is it worth switching to responsibility, like customers being able to kind of help themselves with the rain issues of scheduling things scares me? So I probably wouldn't get rid of Jobber. Again, Responsibid and Jobber are two completely different things. They are not the same thing. So Jobber can help with showing how the estimate is and then how the email sequence is, right? And that's what Responsibid is. Jobber is more of your invoicing, stuff like that, because you can't do invoicing off of Jobber or off of Responsibid. LinkedIn, we love LinkedIn. How can I add value to a loyal customer to not lose them when raising prices? Right now, it's not too hard because you can literally say these tariffs. Everybody knows inflation is a huge key right now. So it's not real difficult to see how to raise our prices, you know. And are you going to lose some? Yeah. You know, I was talking to an installer and he raised his prices, and if everybody came back, it was $40,000. But that also means he could lose $40,000 worth of work and make the exact same amount of money and do less work and literally make the same amount of money and do less work. So why wouldn't you raise your prices? Do you take deposits for Christmas lights to buy them and put them up? Or do you need some sort of starting capital to purchase them? So that's a great question, and Fire Code Man. And the answer is we do a 50% deposit. And we do not tell them that it is to buy the lights. That will be your first mistake if you tell them that, yeah, we go buy the lights after you purchase them, right? After you put your 50% down. We do not say that. We will say that we will get you on the schedule, and to get on the schedule, you have to put 50% down. So no, we do not need of capital for this. You're going to get better pricing right now if you buy right now, but if you don't have 10 grand or 5 grand to buy a bunch of lights and you only have 5 grand, then we need to put that into yard signs, into marketing, so that way we can get these jobs, close these jobs, because we don't need to install till the last week of October or the first week of November is when, if you're starting this year, when you would start installing anyway. So that's what I would say on that. Wait, is LinkedIn for residential or commercial sales? So LinkedIn is more for commercial sales. You could get some for residential, like if you go in and you've got a lot of doctors and lawyers and that type of person in your profiles, or you've liked their profiles and they're following you, then you could maybe get some off of it, but it's really for the commercial properties is what LinkedIn is for. I saw a scary thing that you have to upload your LLC, have minutes and all kinds of stuff to have legit LLC if you get audited. Is that true? I don't know what I don't know what that you're talking about. I don't think that is true. I don't think that is true. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. So, update your LLC, have minutes. No, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're saying there. I don't know what that is, if that is the case. I don't know what that is. So, I don't think that's the case, Jeremy. Whoever told you that is full of it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about there, so that's why I don't know. So, again, what other questions do you all have? I've got 20 minutes here. I love answering y'all's questions. Again, if you have not joined the Facebook group, I answer a lot of questions in there. It's starting to really take off. christmaslights.io/group will take you there. We're getting 10 questions a day, 5, 10 questions a day. And if you've got questions, don't be afraid to ask. The only dumb question is the question you don't ask, right? That's why I tell people in my class, I literally have a class, my in-person class, I allow anybody to ask questions. Tyler was there this week, Tyler Cantrell, and he asked a lot of questions. But you know what? There was only one or two times that I'm like, just hold off. I will get to that. And so that is the cool thing about this, right? And so this is something that, I allow people to ask questions because I want questions. Because when I go down rabbit holes for you, other people learn. And so that is the great thing about these classes, right? And so it is important that you understand this so that way you can grow your business and understand that. Paul Gardner, if you don't know who Paul Gardner is a little short guy. He's about this tall to me, but he's a good friend of mine, and I like to poke at him a little bit. And so he's actually going to be down speaking at the Charlotte class. So you definitely don't want to miss out. Every time he comes and talks, I always learn. I actually got to eat dinner with him a couple weeks ago. I about killed him as he was trying to drive there because the storm and was hammering down. There were tornadoes around, and he never been around tornadoes because he lives on the other side of the country. But he got to drive through some of the great Ohio weather a couple weeks ago. So, what are your thoughts on a tile and metal roof? Any suggestions for clips or safety? So, on tile, a lot of times you can use the regular clip. It's kind of janky, but it will work. It's kind of, you gotta make it work. On metal roofs, you can use magnets. Work great on metal roofs. If you do use magnets on a metal roof, I would use binder clips every so often, so that way you make sure that they don't fall off. Depending on where you are, I'm assuming that, being that you're saying tile and metal, I'm assuming that you're talking that you're in the South and you don't have to deal with snow. If you're in an area where you deal with snow, then you go up underneath the roof is what you do. What's up, Mr. Sam Else? How are you doing it? I was just talking about you tonight. Your ears must have been burning, dude. I was just talking about Sam, about how he did over $200,000 his very first year hanging Christmas lights. Come to one of my classes, do $208,000. He does, I don't even know what he does. I know he does Indianapolis, and I think that's a huge job. Indianapolis Zoo, and downtowns and all kinds of stuff. So it's cool to watch people like that who are cool people. Let's see, what's this? How do I do ridges on metal roofs that have metal ridge cap? Magnets. Those are real simple. You just magnet across that bad boy. Pink, 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 pink. And then when they come down. If it's a regular roof, you can use these. These are the best clip ridge clips. The only problem with these is however long it takes you to put them up is how long it takes you to take them down, because you got to get back up on the roof to release these, because if you just pull this down, you'll pull the shingle right down with it. So those are your ridge clips. Ridge cap clips. Let's see. So you'd also have to purchase the extension cord and stuff for the lights. I have to put them up on my own house, like how I started with pressure washing. That's the best. The best way to do is come to a training, and then that way you learn. But on the same hand of that, right, you can get the starter kits. If you go to christmaslights.io and just take the S out of it, christmaslights.io or christmaslights.il, so L. You can get a 200-foot starter kit. It comes with males, it comes with females, it comes with the extension cord, so you make your own extension cords, and it comes with 100 feet of lights, and so then that way you can get practice of doing it that way also. And so even if you do come to a class, I always tell people to go home and do some, just because that will make you get faster at doing this stuff. Do I need to have an electrician staff for permanent lights installation? you shouldn't need it. But I will tell you this: there is some states that will make it hard on you. So you need to know what your state is. Most states you don't have to worry about this, but there is some states that you may need a low voltage license, and so that's what you might have to have for that. So it is up to the state. I will say if you're in a very liberal state, you've got a better chance that you're going to have something along those lines. Let's see. If you already have, nope, that ain't what I wanted. It jumped down on me. Let's see. Why is it being down? Shoot. Let's see here. Why is this not working? If you already have an LLC, can you file as an S corp? And the answer is talk to your CPA, and because you have to file at a certain time for your CPA or for your LLC corp. So that is definitely something that you need to make sure that your CPA knows what that is. Do I need to have an electrician on staff? I already answered that one, but my computer's being stupid. It won't let me see here. Ridge aren't worth it. Sell the bushes and trees, in my opinion. And I agree 100% because that is one that you definitely got to get up on there to get this done. Should the bulbs be pointing facing up and just let them close to the center line? That's up to you and your preference, right? I know some people will make sure that every bulb is pointing the right, all pointing out. That is 100% preference up to you. Reason why a lot of people point them up and point them out on gutters is because then we can pre-bulb and pre-clip before we ever go to the job. And so that's going to be up to you of how you want to do it. So it is definitely preference of what you want and how you want to do it. Right now is the time to sell commercial. If someone is going to spend 10,000 plus, they will be budgeting it now. And I would agree 150% on that. Right now is the time that you need to start working on commercial. Actually, this past month is when you should have been working on it too. Daniel just closed 2 commercial jobs back to back. Murphy's, when I was out there at their Christmas light class, they just sold a $70,000 job. They've already closed over 90,000 in the last week. So this is the time that the commercial jobs that you got to go out there and get that stuff done. Can you touch on yearly agreements and how to deal with signature? We don't have, basically the contract says by agreeing to this is the signature. So, and really, you can do the yearly contracts, right? I do agree with it. It will, if you ever decide to sell, it will help you out. But they're worthless at the end of the day. They're worth as much as money on paper. It ain't like that. Wow, you signed this agreement. Try to go get that money. Good luck. You're going to spend more time in all of that at the end of the day than it's worth. Let's see. What's up, everyone? Check out Jason's class, Dallas. Wow. It was a great class. I have to say, it was an amazing class. Located in Iowa, so I should be good. Yes, you should be good in Iowa. Paul loves ridges. Some people love, they do look good, and it adds a lot of footage, but you definitely can't take them down as easy. Charge premium, right? And here's the thing. This is why you should come to Charlotte, right? This is why you should come to This is why you should come to Charlotte at this in-person training coming up, because you will learn that people are getting $12, $14 a foot. Charge premium, right? I know a lot of times people don't always believe it, but that is the key to it. Because we love premium pricing, and I love teaching premium pricing, and premium pricing is definitely where it is. Built a new ball valve setup, and it was throwing O-rings. Should have remembered your video. Let's see here. Sam, I keep hitting this thing. All right, I'm just gonna have to read it. Been closing a lot of commercial work the last 2 weeks. One is only 6 figures. And that ain't me just saying it. That is Sam saying that, right? Been closing a lot of commercial the last 2 weeks. Only is one is 6 figures, right? And so this is the key that is awesome, right? Just imagine making $100,000 off of one job. You know, I was talking to somebody in the pressure washing business, and basically he's going to do $1 million off of 3 contracts, just pressure washing, just a little old pressure washer. Basically, 1 to 2 people in the crew to make 7 figures just being a pressure washer, right? Commercial is definitely where it's at, right? If you want to grow and scale, commercial is where the money is at. It's not about the money. The money is there. It's the storage that is the worst. Ridge clips tangle, hard to store, and it's terrible taken down. Combined to minis and bushes and trees. Do you store lights with clips on them till next year? Yes, because with the new enclosed clips, makes it a lot easier that the clips don't fall off or go flying off. And so it makes it a lot easier to store these lights, a lot easier to store them. And so this is definitely what we do. So then that way next year, this is how we're able to install a house in an hour, 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes, depending on how well you are, because it's already put up. You already got all the cuts. You just put it right back up. So it's actually really cool to see and do, and that is why you do that. So again, if you need lights, go check out christmaslights.io and just take the S off, or you can do the /L, either which way. By buying lights from that site, you buy me a drink, and I appreciate it. It helps me out. Every bit helps me out. And so that's how I'm able to give more value for you all to come on here and ask questions. This is how I'm able to run my Facebook group, by giving you all value over there, because my goal is to help you succeed, right? These people that are asking questions, he came to one of my classes 3 years ago, and it wasn't even in a nice place. It was a crappy hotel. And so, Paul's been to 2 or 3 classes. And here's the thing, Paul will even tell you, he learns something every time he comes. We don't always agree on everything, but that's okay. We don't need to agree on everything. Like, he loves ridges. Don't get me wrong, I think they look amazing. I just don't like to do them. But here's the thing, if you have employees, you ain't got to do them. You can pay somebody to do them. That ain't what you put. Can you do a commercial job with 2 4-gallon minute machines? Yeah, you can. You can. We started lights last week. Real go time starts September 2nd. Crazy how fast the year went. So, and that's the thing, right? There's people that are already putting up Christmas lights, will become in September, will be installing Christmas lights. And so I know people that are installing the last weekend of August to try to get this up, because once you get so many Christmas lights, you have to get this done to be able to get it done, right? You gotta make sure that you can get all these Christmas lights up. And so then you get started earlier and earlier and earlier. So again, if you want to learn how to do Christmas lights, go check out christmaslights.io/IPT. We have one coming up in Charlotte. I've got a couple other ones if you see there, but the Charlotte one, Paul Gardner is going to be there. I love Paul. He's an amazing person. And honestly, the best thing, I will tell you this here. He will speak and it'll be okay. It'll be great. It won't be okay. It'll be great because he is great. But when you get to sit down with dinner with him, that will be freaking amazing. I promise you, you will learn more from Paul sitting down, eating dinner with him than you will learn in his class. So when you sit down, find the people you want to sit by and learn from, because networking and building your network that way is amazing, right? This is the thing that sets you apart. You know, this past weekend, one of the people said the dinner times were better than the whole class because they learned more from the dinner time sitting around talking to other business owners and growing their business. And that's an amazing thing. You know, Paul he didn't need to come to my class. He was doing over $10 million a year doing big signs. He didn't need to come here, but he did. And he goes to all kinds of different classes and learns and keeps learning and growing. That is one thing I learned from Paul is never stop learning, right? Because if you want to get to 100 million or more, guess what? You never stop learning and you keep growing and you get into networks that makes you amazing. So with that, I don't know if anybody else put anything down here. What would you charge for C7 roof lighting? I'd charge $8 to $12 a foot is what I would charge. $8 to $12 a foot. We like that. Recommendations for tracking inventory, assuming have outgrown Google Sheets. Yeah, that gets a little tough. There is some softwares that you can use. I don't know the best one out there. We always used Google is what we did. And that's how we did it. But there is other ones out there that can do this also. So, hi, Jason. Let's see. Global Power Washing. Hi, Jason. When I want to cold call commercial customers, what kind of places should I call? Can you share some tips on the pitch? So, I mean, really, it depends. What do I'm assuming you're talking about Christmas lights. So, what type of places need Christmas lights? Dealerships, churches, cities, government contracts, all kinds of places need Christmas lights. Funeral homes, dentist office, doctor's offices, mom and pop shops, everybody, I know people that do cannabis shops, right? All kinds of shops need our lights. Everybody needs light up because there's data out there that basically you will sell more business, like 20%, if you have Christmas lights on your business. So those are things that you can pitch. The pitch is just build a relationship. I don't know if I've got a phone call, or I don't have a phone call. I've got a call from Daniel. I was actually on the call. He's going through the drive-through, and when we're on the drive-through, I don't know how to find those calls. He was in the drive-through, and he sold a job. He's literally sold a job to Dunkin' Donuts. He told him to come in. He made a design for him and sold the job to Dunkin' Donuts, right? And so these are things that you can do. It's sell to everybody, right? I don't know where it's at on my phone, but I will find it someday. I don't know where the recordings are because I recorded that phone call. So, but that's a way that you're able to do it, right? He didn't say, he was like, this building would look great with Christmas lights on it. That's his pitch. There was no special pitch, right? It's being real. It's being that. That's what the whole thing of it is. If you don't push for ridges or glue, what are your top services offered? Gutter lines, we're doing bushes and trees, we're doing reefs, and we're doing ground stake lighting. Keeping it simple, not getting crazy, right? Those are what we're doing. And guess what? You can find a whole lot of people that want just that. It's not about making things overcomplicated. Did you use Google Voice or Grasshopper or any other that? You can either Dialpad is the other one that I know people that have been using it and do pretty well with it also. How do you attach lights to some of the types of businesses that don't have traditional shingles, gutters, magnetic clips? Yes, magnetic clips. Might have to put a parapet clip on and then slide in a shingle tab, or you can also put in these little guys here. If I can find one here. The light strip clips work really well because you can glue it down. Here's the shingle clap where you can put a parapet clip down. This slides into the parapet clip. This pulls out, this stays to the parapet wall. And that can go on there and you glue that down. Again, I don't see my light strip clips in here, but I know I've got them in here somewhere. You got two, oh, here it is. You can do a light strip clip, right? And so you can put this on there, and then at the end of the year, you can pull this off. This stays on top of the building. Next year, you can just come back and put it right back on, and that's how you can do those also. So light strip clips, all of those are great tools to put on top of places that you may not be able to do. But other than that, hopefully I get to see y'all in Charlotte. I love it. It was a great class last time. The hotel's a nice hotel. It's right where the class is, so you don't have to worry about driving anywhere. But other than that, that's all I have for tonight. I hope that you all have an amazing week. Go start cold calling some businesses. See if you can get some businesses. Don't be afraid. Call 10 a day, and you're going to get 9, 10 no's. But you know what? Day 2, you might get 1 or 2 yeses. Every no's a closer to a yes. So go out there, get it, kill it, bring it home. Have an amazing week. Go be great.